Tonight, we're taking on a story the global media refuses to touch. A story that should shake the conscience of the world. But instead, it's been buried under celebrity gossip, climate conferences, political theater. I'm talking about the ongoing mass murder of Christians in Nigeria. Not harassment, not discrimination, murder. People dragged out of churches, villages burned to the ground at night, pastors kidnapped, tortured, and killed, children shot in their beds, mothers hacked to death trying to shield their babies. And the world? Silent, shrugging, looking away. Well, because it's Africa, because it's Christians, and because the truth, well, the truth is inconvenient. Welcome to this morning report special report. My name is Willie Lawson, and tonight we're telling the truth the world won't say out loud. Let's start with some cold numbers. And even these are conservative numbers. Since 2009, over 50,000 Christians have been killed in Nigeria. In just one recent 12-month period, nearly 7,000 were murdered. Most of them unarmed villagers. More Christians have been killed in Nigeria than in the rest of the world combined. Think about that. This kind of targeted killing if this kind of targeted killing was happening to any other demographic group, the UN would be in emergency sessions. The Pope would be on a plane. And CNN would have a permanent banner running in the bottom of the screen. But because the victims are poor, rural, Bible-believing African Christians, nothing. What's happening in Nigeria isn't random violence. It isn't local disputes. It most certainly is not climate change. This is strategic, ideological, targeted killing. Let me be plain. Christians in Nigeria are being hunted. Boko Haram, infamous, brutal, Islamic extremists who openly declare that Christians must submit or die. They attack churches. They burn entire neighborhoods. They kidnap Christian girls. You remember Chibok. And they force them into slavery. And then there's Islamic State West Africa province. It's a franchise of ISIS. They run highly coordinated attacks, often using stolen military weapons. Their targets, overwhelmingly Christian farming villages, pastors, churches. The Fulani militant herdsmen, not the peaceful herdsmen the media tries to romanticize. These are heavily armed killers whose attacks are strategically aimed at Christian farmers, Christian villages, Christian schools, and Christian leaders. It's always the same pattern. They enter after midnight, they surround the village, they set homes on fire. And as families run into the night, they're shot, stabbed, or just burned alive. And folks, you don't need a PhD in geopolitics to understand what's going on here. This is not farmer versus herder. This is a campaign to erase Christian communities. Most Americans couldn't name these places, but they should, because these names are becoming graveyards. The Benue state, the Plateau state, Kaduna, Taraba, Adamana. These are majority Christian areas in the middle belt of Nigeria. These states have something in common. They are where Christians live. Christian blood flows. In Plateau State, on Christmas weekend, more than a dozen villages were attacked. 150 Christians were murdered before the sun came up. Families were killed while putting up Christmas decorations. Choir members were slaughtered during rehearsals. Pastors were executed in front of their congregations. This is the definition of persecution. And pretending otherwise is a moral crime. Now, here is where the gaslighting or lying begins. Nigeria's government routinely claims it's not religious, it's complicated, it's local disputes, it's criminal gangs, it's about climate displacement. Anything at all, except the truth. Well, why? Because admitting the truth means a couple of things. It means admitting the government can't control its territory. It's also admitting radical factions inside Nigeria's security forces sympathize with the attackers. It's also admitting the world's most populous Black nation is failing its Christian population at a catastrophic level. But here's the reality. When attackers show up yelling, Allahu Akbar, when they ask villagers who the Christians are, when the churches are burned but the mosques aren't touched, when pastors are executed first, you know exactly what's going on. This is religious targeting. It is systematic, it is ideological, it is intentional. And the Nigerian government has failed to stop it year after year. All right, the United States and Europe have played the role of a coward for far too long because they refuse to pressure Nigeria. They refuse to cut aid. They refuse to even say the words Christian persecution. So during this previous administration, Nigeria was designated as a country of particular concern, the highest warning level for religious persecution. Then, under Biden, Nigeria was mysteriously removed. No explanation, no evidence of improvement, just political convenience. Now, under President Trump's second term, the designation has been reinstated, and Washington is finally acknowledging the crisis. But the truth is, every Western government should have acted years ago. Instead, they sent aid, and aid, and more aid. And what happens with that aid? It magically disappears into government pockets while Christian villages are slaughtered. The West's silence has been deadly. You want to know why the media ignores the murder of Christians in Nigeria? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Christians are the wrong victims. They don't fit the Western narrative of who is oppressed. The killers are the wrong villains because they can't blame white supremacy. They can't blame conservatives. So they lose interest. The victims are African. And for all of their talk about diversity, multiculturalism, Western elites ignore suffering in Africa unless Hollywood tells them it's fashionable. Admitting the truth means naming radical Islamic extremism. And the media would rather contort itself into a pretzel than admit this ideology exists. So CNN will spend 2 hours on a Kardashian salad bowl and 0 minutes on the massacre of worshipers on a Christmas morning. It's cowardice dressed up as journalism. So let's talk about solutions. Because Morning Report doesn't do thoughts and prayers as an escape hatch. First of all, pray. Pray intentionally, not casually. Pray for the Christians in Plateau and Benue. Pray for the pastors who are risking their lives. Pray for the children surviving trauma. Pray for the protection of villagers under threat. And yes, the downfall of men doing this evil. Number 2, support organizations doing real work on the ground. Groups like Open Doors and ICC provide food for displaced families, trauma counseling, rebuilding assistance, advocacy, and political pressure. They're not wasting money. They're saving lives. 3, demand political action from U.S. leaders. Call your representatives, email them, hit them up on Twitter, X. Put this issue in front of them until they can't ignore it. Demand Nigeria stay on the country of particular concern list. Demand U.S. aid be tied to protecting Christian communities. Demand public condemnation of these attacks. Demand real diplomatic consequences for failure. Number 4, please tell this truth boldly. Don't let anybody lie to you with academic nonsense. Don't let journalists dismiss this as complicated. Don't let politicians hide behind diplomacy. When thousands of Christians are murdered for their faith, that's persecution. Full stop. All right. Here's the final thought for tonight. We are no better than the believers being slaughtered in Nigeria. We're not more worthy of peace. And we are not more loved by God. We are not, we are not more righteous. We're more fortunate, and that fortune carries a responsibility. Hebrews tells us to remember those who are mistreated as if we ourselves were suffering. So remember them, speak for them, speak with them. Because if we won't defend Christians being killed for their faith, then all our talk about religious freedom is just noise. This has been the Morning Report special report on silent slaughter, the war on Christians in Nigeria. Till we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody. For goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you. Bye bye now.